did hit a peak of 90 degrees, but during the runs we're hitting 88 degrees. So I'm not happy with the result. It is cooler than it was before, about 3 degrees cooler. I was hoping for more than that, but I think the big issue we've got here is the fan curve, because I can hear the fans ramping up and down, up and down, up and down every time the CPU is being stressed. So okay, so it's now the next day, and after the very disappointing results I got from the delidding, just using normal Arctic MX4 thermal compound, I've decided to come back to the shed and have another crack at it. I think in my initial testing I kind of got freaked out by the fact that the machine wouldn't boot, which I've now worked out was a bent pin on the CPU socket, so I fixed that. Now I want to focus more on trying to get this right, because I feel like I should be able to get better results. I've been online and checked a few forums, and people are actually talking about the benefits of using liquid metal between the CPU die and the heat spreader. I did do that originally in my i3 delidding tests and didn't seem to make that much of an improvement, but I'm going to give it another go. I've got a tube of Coolab's Liquid Ultra here, which I'm going to use. It's basically gallium, as I understand it. So I'm going to give that a go. So I'm going to get the heat spreader off of this again, and then use the liquid Ultra between the CPU die and the heat spreader and see if that's any better. This should come off quite easily because I've only used a little bit of RTV sealant, so I'm hoping I can probably just do it with my hands. Yeah, there we go. So that's come off, so let's just see how good the compound is. We've got a pretty good even coverage with the MX4. We've got a nice rectangle on there, which seems like it's covered quite nicely. But the heat transfer obviously wasn't really making much difference, so clean that up. Alright, it's looking nice and clean now. Let's get the RTV off. Okay, so I'm quite happy with how that looks now. Just going to pop some gloves on, and I'll have a fresh look at this RTV, not the RTV, the Liquid Ultra. So, looks like it's leaked ever so slightly since the last time I used it, which is always handy. So it comes with, you get a pad for roughing up the surface, which I'm not going to use, 2 brushes and a tube and a isopropyl cleaning pad. Now I've already cleaned the die using isopropyl alcohol, so I won't use that either. So literally just got the tube of the liquid metal. Just going to refer back to the instructions again. All I need to do is put a very small amount on a die and then spread it with the brush. I think because it's leaked out a bit at the end, I'm actually struggling to get any out of the syringe. Okay. Seems to have gone on and covered remarkably well. Just going to wipe the end of the brush off. syringe and try and clean off the tiny little splash that's gone over. So be very careful with this stuff because it is conductive, so we don't want to get any of it on a part of the chip that could actually have any current flowing through it, because we could cause a short circuit. I think it goes without saying why that would be bad. We don't want to kill the chip. Okay, so that's done. Now what I need to do is a tiny bit of RTV silicone again and fresh tissue. Use what I have to hand. Literally you've got a tiny little smearing, just enough to hold the heat spreader on. Okay. And then we'll put our template back on over the top. Take the heat spreader, okay, and then we'll pop the clamp back over the top. Again, we'll do it up nice and tight, and we'll just leave that leave that to cure for up to an hour, and then I'll come back and we can pop it back in the machine and see where we go. Okay, so it's been long enough now that it should have dried, so I'm going to undo the clamp, take the CPU out. And very carefully go and put it back in the machine and test it. So come and join me. Okay, so I've got the PC back up now, and I've put the CPU back in the case, put the heatsink back on, and I'm just going to fire it up for the first time. It's switched on, so that's a good start. And just see where we go with the temperatures now. Okay, so before we were at 4.6 gigahertz and we were hitting 92 degrees before the delid, 90 afterwards. So let's just check where we're at now. CPU ID, yeah, it's still at 4.6 gigahertz. So all the BIOS settings are the same. I've got the new fan curve that I configured, which means the fan will be ramping up. Okay, so I've just come into the BIOS again. There's a hardware monitor section in here which allows me to configure the fans. So CPU fan here, we've actually got the fan curve configured to only hit full speed once we hit 85 degrees. So I think what I'm going to do is just drop that right down. Because at idle we're sort of in the mid 30s. So I think what we'll do is we'll set the fan curve so that we'll leave that one where it is. We'll go for 38%. So when we hit 50 degrees on the CPU, we're going to round the fan up to 100%. Okay, and we'll save that, reboot into Windows and see how that works for the stress test. And I've also dropped the voltage ever so slightly by 0.005 of a volt. So at the moment we're riding around 28 degrees. Hit the Intel burn test and see where we go with this. So you should see the core voltage now. We were at 1.344 before, we're now at 1.336. So ever so slightly lower, to keep the temperatures down. Yeah, so I can just hear the fan starting to ramp up now. But already, bearing in mind I'm just booting this from cold, so that will have a slight skew on the effect. On the temperature performance. Yeah, so I can hear the fan ramping up now, but I don't know if you just watch the temperature here. Wow. So that's a huge difference. That's the kind of performance I was looking for. So we're now hitting 62 degrees under full load. Before we were hitting 90. So that's, wow. Something must have been wrong before. This core seems to be consistently hotter than the other three, go figure. But before the delid, we were hitting 92 degrees. After the delid, we went down to 88. So there's definitely, to 90. So there was definitely a tiny improvement, but that's huge. How can we be dropping almost 30 degrees? That's nuts. Wow. So still running at 4.6 gigahertz. We're peaking at 62. We've hit 63 here. That was on the first spike before the fan curve really kicked in. So I'm going to run that a few more times just to make sure that we're getting consistent results. That's amazing. If we've got temperatures that low, then I can definitely afford to ramp the voltage up a little bit and push for some more speed. I don't know whether I'll be able to get any more speed out of this processor. It's a bit of a silicon lottery whether the CPU is actually going to let me get any more juice out of it, but we've got much more headroom for temperature now, so I can definitely push some more volts through it. Okay, well that's completed now, all 6 runs, and we hit a maximum temperature of 66 degrees. So that is 24 degrees cooler than when we did the delid using the Arctic MX4. We've still used Arctic MX4 between the CPU and the heatsink, but under the heat spreader I've used liquid metal, and that's a huge difference. So I'm going to fill that into my results. That's the kind of result I was looking for. So, with that known, I'm going to jump into the BIOS and try and push for some more gigahertz. Okay, I'm just doing the stress test now. I've managed to get it up to 4.7 gigahertz now. But I've really had to push the voltage up quite a lot to get it stable. Every time I ran the Intel burn test, it would crash out with an error, or tell me that, first time it completely blocked the machine. I've had to keep upping the voltage, core voltage, so we're now hitting 1.376, which is, where were we, 0.3 now? And I've still got an instability error now. Okay, so we're definitely reaching a point of diminishing returns here. I'm still running through a test. I've yet to complete a full run of Intel burn test at 4.7, so we're talking 100 megahertz more, and I've just had to pump so much more voltage in it, and I keep upping the voltage and it keeps failing. And that increase in voltage is resulting in a massive increase in heat, so we're currently Just coming up to the end of run 5, and we've hit a maximum of 76 degrees, so we've gone up by like 11 degrees just by increasing voltage, and we're currently at 1.392 volts, so we were at 1.336 before, so that's nearly 0.06 of a volt extra. So I've actually got the voltage at 1.365 in the BIOS, which helpfully the BIOS colours the value red once you hit 1.35, telling you that you're putting a high voltage through the CPU. It just doesn't really seem worth it, to be honest. I mean, the extra 100 megahertz from 4.6 to 4.7 equates to literally 2% performance increase, and you're not going to notice that in anything. For all that extra temperature, it just doesn't seem worth it. Now, I'm going to keep going anyway, just for the interest of science, but yeah, definitely completed. Okay, so we did run the full suite of Intel burn test and we hit a maximum of 76. Let's try for 4.8 then. Wish me luck. Well, I think I'm pushing my luck a bit here. At 4.8 gigahertz, I've really had to ramp the voltage up again. We're way higher than I'm comfortable with, really. 1.472 we're hitting. 1.472 volts on the V-core is too high really for the chip, and it will end up doing long-term damage, or at least shortening the life of the chip running out of that. But that's how high I've had to push the voltage to get it to run an Intel burn test completely. I'm not even sure it will complete the full set of 6 runs that I've been using for this testing. So I think, yeah, at least for this chip, I think that's the limit of what I'm going to get out of it. At that voltage, we're hitting 86 degrees at the moment. That's our peak, which is okay. It's a bit warmer than I'd like, but it's okay. But I'm not going to run it at that speed. What I'm realistically going to do is drop the overclock back down to 4.6, get the voltage as low as I can, and enjoy the cooler temperatures. So the delidding was a really good experiment. It's worked really well on this chip, but in terms of getting extra performance, overclock out of the chip, not really anything useful there. So don't, obviously your mileage may vary, every chip's different, but don't expect that by delidding you're going to be able to get loads more overclock out of it. Realistically, all it's really doing is massively improving the cooling of the chip and allowing it to run much cooler at the same overclock. So 4.6 before would have been a bit of a stretch to temperatures hitting 90 degrees. Now I've delidded, I can run comfortably at 4.6 gigahertz, knowing that my temperatures are never going to exceed sort of 65 degrees. So I'm really happy with the results. Really interesting test. It's quite impressive to see this chip running at 4.8 gigahertz, but that core voltage is way too high. So I'll let this test keep running and see if it fails. If it completes, great. If it doesn't, never mind. I'm not realistically going to run it at 4.8 gigahertz given how much voltage I'm having to put through the chip. But there we go. It's been an interesting experiment. If you've enjoyed it, please like, subscribe for more, and thank you for watching.